video, you're going to see a variety of different ways to create overlaps on sections that you actually have to create an overlap. This can't be wrapped in one piece seamless because this obviously got severe 90-degree angles, different pieces sticking together. And this actually will apply to all different types of areas that you need to wrap with an overlap, like say pillars in a building, door handles on a car if you're coming off the body. So again, this can work for a myriad of different surfaces or objects that you're wrapping. First off, I'm going to show basic and work up from there. Again, there's no perfect way to do it. I'm just going to show you lots of different variations to think about. What this method is just very straightforward. No prep work at all. Just take a scrap of material and basically just going for straight full coverage. Don't care about professional quality. Just basically want to get it change of color. So basically what I did is took a scrap, wrapped it around, and creating an overlap, cutting directly on the body, which I'm never crazy about, and cutting this piece away and cutting everything by hand. So the chance of this being perfectly straight is minimal. Maybe cutting through is high. So again, I'm not crazy about it. Do you get full coverage? Absolutely. But creating the overlap right in the middle doesn't look great. Could be much better. But again, if you just really want to get something done, that's the easiest way to do it, but not the best professional results. So here, I try to create a better straight line beforehand, cut it on the backing paper on a cutting table, but by cutting by hand it's straight, but it's not as straight as it could be if I used a straight edge, but at least I'm not cutting directly on the surface, which is great. Now I'm going to swing it around, and I'm hiding the overlap now, not in the middle of a section wide open, but I'm hiding it on a contour there, and that actually makes it blend much better. So I work it around nice and easy. Could use a squeegee or in this case my finger because it's so small. Now I'm trimming the overlap off, but I'm doing it exactly on the contour. So it's about 1/8 of an inch overlap, super clean, professional, looks much better. Could I have used a straight edge there and made it better? Absolutely, but at least it's hiding on the edge, and I didn't cut directly on the body. And then for the second cut, I cut on the film, and hopefully the film underneath it buffered my blade. So again, only doing that if I have good knife skills. Here, use the straight edge beforehand. This obviously is much better because for me, if you use straight edge, it's just super professional because this has a straight line that's from the factory. If I cut it with a straight edge, it matches up perfectly. Symmetry is king when it comes to cutting. Now in this case, this type of variation you're seeing is I took knifeless tape now and ran it on the edge. So for me, I'm going for the absolute no cut on the surface approach. So again, cut it beforehand, fit it in like a puzzle piece, swing the material around nice and even, and then again, hiding it on the contour there, running it just over the knifeless tape, super clean. And again, with knifeless tape, it's very simple. Fold, hold the fold, and pull. Really clean. This is finish line because I'm using a chunky flake here. That chunky flake could break the design line, so again, just using the right knifeless tape for the right material. Seal it down with a finger. What I love about it, again, super symmetrical, no cutting on the surface. Again, if you don't have knifeless tape, you can use trim line tape to create that nice straight line. Now with this style of overlap, I'm going back to cutting by hand, but I'm going to get pretty straight lines here because I'm going to pull the excess material away with my free hand and run the side of my blade, not cutting directly on the surface, to the edge that I'm working on. So again, it just holds it nice and parallel. If I keep my blade hugging the edge, it creates a nice straight line. And most of the time this technique works good, but this particular edge, for example, is beveled. So it's really hard to get a good, even, straight line here of holding the excess film, even though I'm pulling it away and doing everything correct. Right there you can see I begin, and it kind of gets a little jagged, then goes straight. So sometimes it can work great, but not all the time. But what I like about it is not cutting directly on it. And if you do it well and get good practice at it, you can actually create a really good symmetrical line. For this version of overlaps, what I want to show is using tri-line tape from knifeless tape. So what I like about tri-line is what you can do is create butt joints. And butt joints are really good for objects that you want to kind of actually avoid any kind of overlap on. This is good for floors, pillars that are in spaces where the temperature is pretty even. You don't want to create butt joints where the temperature is going to go up and down on the surface a lot, go from hot to cold, because that'll cause the material to kind of pull apart over time. But it's a pretty stable temperature. What you can do is create a nice butt joint, and this is ideal. And you obviously want to try to create the butt joint right in the, again, on some kind of contour. Here I'm using, again, chunky flakes of gloss metallic film. The string in tri-line is design line. The problem with this is it breaks if you get super chunky metallic film. So what I'm going to do is create a butt joint type style setup, but I'm going to do it with 2 pieces of finish line, which is the string is much stronger. So again, vary your knifeless tape not only based on, let's say, overlaps, but also what kind of material you're using. So what I'm doing is kind of a dual line setup where I set the piece up that I want to cut out on the contour, and then this other piece I set up about 1/4 inch or about 1 centimeter on the other side. Run the material over there, and I'm going to cut the material away, again using finish line tape, set everything up nice and clean so I get a nice good clean line there. Fold, hold, pull the knifeless tape, pull the excess material away, wrap it around, and again I'm wrapping to that other corner on the other side so I get full coverage, but again not trying to get that 1/8 inch overlap in this case, trying to go for the butt joint, so it really just kind of makes it almost absolutely look like paint. So I pull the material over there, now I got the material covering the bottom piece, pull the knifeless tape out, pull the excess material aside, and then I want to pull out the 1/4 inch or that centimeter piece that's underneath the piece that I just brought around. So the trick is you want to pull it out about 180 degrees. I pull it just to the right and try to pull it as flat as possible. So I separate it and then pull nice and clean. It stretches a little bit so you kiss it with heat, and then you can form it in nice and clean. So again, this takes a little bit of practice, but you can get really good butt joints there. And again, try to only do this on areas that are going to be stable temperature, not go up and down. For me, the best approach to creating these perfect overlaps pieces is full pre-cut pieces beforehand. So again, for me, this involves absolutely no knifeless tape, no cutting directly on the surface. For me, this is just ideal. It takes the most prep work, but the payoff is the quickest in terms of install and long-term quality, in my opinion. So what I'm doing is with the straight edge is making marks on the backing paper there, flipping the panel over, and really being precise with my cuts. I want this to have an exact 1/8 inch overlap, but I don't want to do any cutting before or during. So I set it up on the edge again, fold the material around, pull in nice and even. The trick is not to kind of pull on the edges of the material because you don't want to distort it as it comes around. Try to make sure it goes nice and even all the way to the edges, and then just flip it around, and this is just going to fit in like a puzzle piece. And again, for me, this is super quick, and if you're doing any kind of volume, I'd highly recommend doing this on a plotter. It's perfectly easy, no cutting, super straightforward. So again, a lot of different ways to create overlaps when you need them. Again, there's no black and white answer to it, so again, mix and match to what you need, but again, just a lot of options for your tool bag. Thanks for watching. Justin Pate.